Hey everyone, welcome back to my update for my Apteros tryout journey. Got some pretty cool stuff to cover. I think it's pretty cool stuff, just because I think I get a chance to showcase just how difficult things can get, and pretty much it can be a roller coaster ride sometimes. And that's what happened on Friday, 7/26. I didn't really have a chance to give you guys an update over the weekend. Um, I have a lot of things going on. Still have a day job, so we're just trying to make it happen. Honest stuff here. Not trying to showcase anything that isn't true. This is I'm just a guy just trying to make the most of the opportunity that we have in front of us. Um, and yeah, just trying to make it happen. But getting into what took place on Friday, very tough. I mean, it wasn't too difficult. I made it more difficult than it needed it to be, as usually as a trader, as traders we tend to do. We make things more difficult than they have to be, uh, just to kind of give a quick synopsis, a quick view. Essentially, I had a really good start to the day. First half of the day, I'm up here. You can see it's $1,000. That's about 4R for the day. Um, and then I just erase it all away. Just all that good work just goes straight to the trash bin. So just a good example of how trading can sometimes be. You'll have a good performance. You'll make some great decisions. You'll get your profit up, and then you start, I guess going on tilt essentially. Um, and it's part of the process, part of the journey. And what's required then is to properly reflect on why that was. What was the case? What took place? What were you? Where were you in the state of mind? But and then that's just one part, and then you get down to what was going on with the market. How do these two things connect? How does your state of mind connect to what was going on with the market? Um, you can piece it together. For me on this day, starting off, I had traded both two markets, crude oil and the S&P 500, the ES futures, and in crude oil, pretty straightforward day. I had a chance to get involved in a bearish narrative that was taking place. The bearish story was an imbalance on the monthly development area low. I was able to get involved with fast trending IPV on the intraday. I took a piece of the pie, and then attempted to go for further destination down into what was quarterly previous value area low, and then we also had this blue line over here, which was monthly development value area low. Monthly previous value area low. Um, so that was the name of the game in crude oil. We didn't proceed down to test lower to those lower levels, and I attempted, I scaled out, or I exited out, trying to um, maximize this first initial trade. And then I saw the chance to potentially maybe continue the imbalance from an IPV. So sized back up again, full size, went for the trade, um, scaled, and then exited. Small little wimpy scale and then exited. I mean, that's pretty good though. Just seeing what was given, that was a pretty good scale. Then was stopped out, and then continued to pursue a bit more as we got this big rotation on the intraday, and it was a good chance to continue the move lower. If we get some more energy back into the market, and however that was not the case. Took one stop, and then one couple, I guess you could say scalps essentially, um, is what took place in crude oil. So overall, decent day in crude. Um, I traded what was there. I didn't. Nothing stood out too much. A lot of good overall decision making. Maybe holding off from trading from VWAP is always a good thing to avoid. However, I did see the maybe we could maintain this trend that we had for the day, and crude oil has been pretty. You never know what's gonna happen, so it's like, okay, let me see if I can set myself up, set myself up for what could be, right? So we could continue. However, of course, as we get into the end of the day, the probability of another big move decreases. So at the same time, it's like you got to make sure you're not overdoing it. And I think I really don't feel like I overdid it. I took again one stop, um, and another short where I was pretty quick to scale and then also exit. I wasn't gonna be willing to take too much heat on this trade idea at this point in time and at this trade location. So taking into consideration those variables, and then we go into ES, which started off pretty well. My hypos were definitely not the best, just due to the fact that they were not strongly narrative based hypos. I over relied on this 2-day VWAP for the day. Essentially, I really enjoy. I really some of my I've really integrated the 2-day VWAP into my trading. I really enjoy using it. It really helps add another extra variable to my trades, and I've done some good work just off using the 2-day. So it's something that I will continue to use and have no problem using it, and just have to be careful with it, because coming into today, I kind of had it as my I had it providing context, which with it comes to the due day, it's still an intraday piece of the puzzle. It's not contextual information. So for me, it's just I have to remind myself to separate those two things. So because I had the 2-day as my main hypos, I pretty much was executing off of it. And that's where you see these shorts. I was essentially going with an RPB of development area high off of the intraday DVA, ETH, and then also off the 2-day DVA high. And as you can see here on the intraday execution, I had some good. I had some attempts. I felt comfortable taking these shorts. They were in line. They were in line with what I was thinking could take place for the day. I had this really good short. Once these initial ones failed, we saw a high, pretty much a wick higher. I got involved back again, and then scaled quite nicely into development area low, and then ended up exiting for scratching, pretty much essentially. And then from there, I began to see that, okay, now we have a good trade location in terms of DVA high, for the intraday ETH and also on the 2-day. So kind of you have a double variable, two variables supporting the trade idea for a short. And then what I end up seeing is that it develops into into almost like a I start to see factors in the delta that take away from the trade idea that I have. I even end up sizing up in this location just because it made sense to me. You had, an RPB of the developed very high off both of these DVAs, and that was just a good confluence. And again, however, the main issue was again that you didn't have a strong contextual story to support either the sizing up or the overall trade. So those were two key factors that I think were wrong for these shorts that took place here. Um, Luckily, I didn't mismanage it. It was a pretty well managed situation, and what I ended up doing was pretty much transitioning into a long opportunity that I saw take place, and the story that ended up unfolding, I guess, from an intraday perspective was, we held this 2 day VWAP, and we held this rotational behavior for the intraday ETH, and we saw delta just skyrocketing up. I'll have to pull up, or I don't know if I have an example chart of what took place in the delta, but the delta was pretty much the name of the trade for me. I do a quick little breakdown of this trade in the Apteros, in my Apteros journal, and I tried my best to describe what I was seeing in real time. Um, and I ended up sizing up into this situation just because the setup made sense to me. But again, looking back, I don't have the contextual story to support the trade idea. But the setup itself was very clear, and is what drove me to execute uh, this long with size. Um, and it worked out in my favor. I scaled immediately, and then held for the move into monthly development very high. It could have easily been, or I also had the thought that we could continue higher, but for some reason, I don't know, I just felt that it was a responsible thing to just maximize the trade idea and just exit into monthly development very high. Um, and then after this, things went really wrong where I had no idea what was going on with the story for the day contextually or at the intraday level. At the intraday time frame, I got completely lost. I was like, okay, well, this could be an IPB of the 2 day developing very high, and then I see it developing. I see us kind of accepting within the intraday developing very high for a potential short, and then I just make a complete mess of the situation, and that's where you see my drawdown go from plus on the day to basically taking a loss for the day, and um, that's pretty much what ended up taking place for Friday. I could have had a really good day and ended up really destroying it. But for an overview, you gotta have guardrails. However that looks, gotta have a way to, like what are the questions that we're going to be asking throughout the day to help us realize where we're at. Whether it's mentally or with the markets. And those questions are going to be, are I'm going to be reminding myself as the day develops whether changes in the intraday story warrant any risk, or does it warrant sitting on hands? Does it we're going to be questioning what is the level of clarity currently in the market, and in the market that we're trading? Are things making clear sense? Is the story that I came into the day with still there? Has it changed? So those are just questions that will help me in real time identify whether or not I need to be doing something or doing nothing. And then asking myself, I think this is something that I'm working on in terms of sizing, because not every day deserves size. is what I'm seeing and is what's going to make a strong influence on my overall trading. Um, Focusing on the days where there's quality narratives and I've identified that warrants some good sizing. But if that is not the case, then we should not be sizing up. Instead, if anything, we should practice sizing down when things are very unclear. And then what I would like to continue doing is maintaining great management and maximizing my exits that I find when I find myself in good trades. So that's an overall overview of my day for Friday. I think some good lessons learned. I had a great strong gain of almost 5R trade. 30% win 30% win percent could have been so much better. Again, it just sucks to see a day like this transpire, but there's so many nuggets of learning that will help make me better in the long term, as long as I'm able to follow those nuggets and learn from them. But that's my update for the Apteros tryout. Currently, a little bit above break even in the tryout, still far away from the overall target, but no issue. Continue to trudge along, and I look forward to giving you guys an update for today's performance.